the place on the upper attachment place to just be satisfied for myself that there was no patching work done, that something, the thing wasn't taken down, put back up while nobody was looking. That's the only thing that I'm just a little bit squeamish about.
Oh well, I can help you with that issue because I went there for about 2 hours earlier, and the systems still have been running. I mean, they interrupted the testing process. That's right, but this is no problem at all. But they started the system. I mean, at least one day earlier that morning, and everything was on temperature, let me say on operating temperature, and I've been there earlier before the web stream started, so I can definitely confirm on my side that there is everything on the right thing. So let me say there is no fake anymore. I mean, it becomes more and more crazy, that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Even Mr. Hartmann states in the video, well, some critics really became naked right now. I was really laughing as somebody called me. Some of my guys called me. To tell you my story, I started yesterday 4:30 in the morning to go to Rush area because it's about 800 kilometers from me,
Uh-huh.
and about 7 p.m. yesterday I drive back, and currently I'm in Salzburg area, so I have my home cell phone and my home net from the cell phone, so I activated Skype again, and I have still about 2.5 hours to drive. So
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be a real tough day, but we had a very good result for everybody today.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
Jay.
catching up. I'm catching up about 2,000 kilometers this day.
Yeah,
Imagine that.
yeah.
To make everybody happy.
So it seems like
Well,
JD is resolved in his mind that there's no holes in the wall, that it's as stated, that there's no trickery going on.
well, there is no, and we did it very, very transparent right now. And he had close-up pictures, he had videos, and everybody had that. And we got statements from the people who have seen that when we have the webcam live stream, and we have all these pictures before and in between and afterwards, and we have all these open mouths seen. And it was a really curious moment, as I imagine.
I did some
Curious
math.
because of it became true.
Yeah, I did math on the total kilowatt hours, dividing, because it was running for 18 days starting April 18. So I divided 18 divided by the total kilowatt hours and 24 days or 24 hours in
Yeah,
a day, and it came to
yeah,
4.5 kilowatt hours per hour total
yeah.
is the
We
average.
had, as I told you earlier, selling all the loads, we had about 4.8. But in between, Roche changed the compressor. Before, well, I have a really hot lightning. If you might don't hear me anymore. Um, So let me say, in the middle of that showing process of these official viewings, the real compressor has been delivered with the load and the pressure we need for the 500 models.
Hmm.
This compressor delivers about 400 liters of air. I mean per minute, or I don't know exactly. But Mr. Domen said before there was only 170 liters, and now we have the final model, what is sized exactly for that kind of kinetic power plant, and this delivers about 400 liters
Hmm.
volume of air. And once we put away one of these infrared heaters, um, the system nearly did not feel it. Before it was harder to feel, and afterwards it was very, very stable. That all these things make me believe that we have a serious, good product which will stand very long if you, or not you, but if the owner build it very good together and everything is well in shape, and we take care for that issue.
Hmm.
You know.
How much hand holding is going to be required? You've got now, when we started this, when we interviewed
Yeah,
around the 23rd of April, you said you
yeah.
had over half of the 500 sold, and then you've sold some since then. So as these start being delivered in as kits and people start putting these together, how much hand holding are they going to need to put it together?
Well, we plan for 1 week workshop. That means we guess that, or let me say, we will put groups together for between 10 and 12 to 15 people. And we deliver those sets to the workshop stations, which is an industry hall with social rooms and all these things you need for a week to build these kits together. And we think that about 40 hours per unit man hours you need. So that means we calculate to rise all these 10 systems within 1 week with all these people together. And we put them in operation, we fill water in, we put them in operation, we check the load, we check the correct function, and then we empty the water.
You
Oh,
just cut
sorry.
off. Okay, go
No,
ahead.
this is just a navigation. Sorry.
Oh,
Um,
you've got to drive
so,
first and foremost, right?
sorry.
I say driving's the most important thing for you right now.
Well, currently, yes. But it's also very nice to talk with you because it's very boring during the night, you know?
Right.
So don't worry. To come back to the issue is, so
You
we
were saying
calculate
empty
for
the
one
water.
week
They would check the load, empty the water.
exactly, and we make it ready for transport. And once that is done, the transport agency will come and pick up the tube and
So will it be
everything what is
transported
needed and
assembled?
delivered. Yes,
Okay. So you'll
yes,
assemble it there together with the people, and then they'll ship it assembled that they've
yes.
helped assemble, and then now not everyone's going to be able to do that. You have some people who are a little too far away. Will they just have to
No,
do
no,
it
no,
on
no,
their
no.
own?
No, we imagine as we put a circle on the landscape and we collect everybody in that circle at one certain station and rent the hall for a certain
Oh,
area of time.
uh-huh.
You know, so we make sure that always 10 people are in charge for their own power plants, and we make sure that you we we tr- we educate about 40 trainers. This is the next step, you know, and these
Uh-huh.
trainers keep the local representative for the kinetic power plant for the people who bought one.
Okay, so
So they will never be alone.
step one, you train the trainers,
Exactly,
and then they go out to the local regions to get a group
exactly.
of 10 to 15 people, and they rent a
Yes.
local hall that's big enough to assemble this for a week, and they assemble, the trainer trains the, how many, are you going to have one or two trainers per location?
Between one and two, we will check about that. Between one and two, that makes sense.
Yeah, I would recommend some redundancy on that so that if somebody gets a cold, they're not going to throw off.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
We have so many people who want to be a trainer. You won't imagine that. We have about 50. Um, how do you say if somebody wants to have a job? What's the process of that?
Uh,
Um, I missed the word.
Job
Uh,
candidates?
exactly. We have about 50 job candidates right now without having sent out the newsletter who everybody can respond on,
Hmm.
who would like to become a trainer. So there is really a huge impact because this is a very interesting job and everybody wants to do that. And we make an audit on the people because they have to have several skills. They have to have time. They have to have the job history to be able to do that. You know, we take care of that.
Now, what about the electrical components? Because that's kind of separate from this. Are you going to do that also in the training and the 1 week seminar?
Um, these units will be delivered to the customer assembled. And the final step to bring it online is to get an electrician and local electrician to get the inverter installed and to get all the electrical installation work at their homes or at their heating systems or wherever they put that piece in place. So this will be the last issue or the last task for the people on their own. But we offer an inverter type. We offer all the we make some recommendations what kind of components we would like to be installed, that everybody's on the same leash, you know.
Right. Is Ronnie talking about being a trainer?
Yes, definitely. He wants to become one.
Mm-hmm. What about JD?
He did not respond so far. I don't know exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Maybe.
Ronnie was talking about already laying his foundation.
Yes. Ronnie would like to start a business out of that.
Yeah.
And I do understand because it's a nice idea.
Have any of the U.S. contacts come through yet with a down payment?
Well, I have, generally said I have I have much more emails than I can answer right in time. So this is my biggest problem currently. I get about 60 between 60 and 100 emails a day, and this is so today I'm not able to answer any emails. So tomorrow I'm overloaded again.
Right.
But however, the thing is, I have one from Mark Buchhalter. I don't know if you heard that name already.
Yeah.
Okay. We are in final discussions about the payment. And I have one from Australia already. And later on, I have seen 2 or 3 requests from US. And I was talking to Christoph, who is our technical director, and he said, well, this is all about no problem because we just need an inverter who can, on the input, handle 400 volts, and on the output, deliver 60 hertz and 110 volts.
Okay, let's put some pictures on what you just described. So you would be using your generator up top, and then they would convert the 400 volts, 50 hertz to the local power.
Exactly.
So they would the local people in Australia, US, and other locations that have different power than what you guys are delivering would just get an inverter that could handle the conversion.
Exactly. By the way, if it's very loud now, I have really hard rain over here.
Ah, sounds like hail.
Yes, something like that, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know what's going on, but I'm in the middle of a lightning.
Okay. Well, if you need
It's not like driving, it's like swimming, you know?
if you need to focus on the road, we can stop this, but I really
I am
appreciate you
focused.
calling. Okay.
I am focused. It's okay.
Okay. So how many you had 500 systems, and before your demonstration started on the 25th, you already had more than half of those sold. How many do you have left now?
Well, we have about 350. We got a lot of orders in the last days, and I'm very happy about that.
How many? Well, you've had the system out for quite a while, many months, and so this is just a few days that you went from around, I guess, 250 to 350, so 100 orders during the demonstration.
Yeah, this is a lot. This is a lot of orders because you need to understand, or I would like you to understand that all these negative and shitstorming things have been reducing our order volume because people ordered and people canceled. And sometimes more people canceled than new people ordered, you know. And now we have this is a kind of a problem, and this is really caused by stupid people because they always, you know, my problem. No, don't say I don't say stupid people, you know. The thing is, how do these people arguing right now if they see this is no fake, and they recommend it to about 200 people? Don't buy that. Don't put any interest on that. You know, how do they argue right now?
Yeah. How many people would you say canceled during this period of time?
Oh well, I would say during that time. Uh, you mean the time since we take orders?
Yeah, well, since no, in the last during the demonstration time in the last 3 weeks.
Oh well, this was, I can count them on one hand.
Well, that's
So
not too
less than
bad.
five.
Uh-huh.
No, less than five, exactly, because everything became trustable. But before, it have been a lot more. We could have been finished these 500 since months already.
Uh-huh.
Truly.
What is the prognosis now that you have more of a reality check of what's involved in this thing? You were talking before about 10 weeks to start shipping these things out. What are you thinking now?
We will. Let me say, not we will. We would like to close those 500 pieces by the end of May.
End of May. We're in May now. You mean close as in sell? Did you cut off? Okay. Hey, do you want me to pull JD into this?
Oh,
Yeah.
well, you can, if he's available, no problem.
Okay. He's I was just chatting with him while we were
Oh
off.
well,
Hold
no
on
problem.
just a second.
Okay.
There he is. JD.
Jesus, this is a crazy lightning.
You've got entertainment.
Well, really. In front, upon, the backside as well.
But you were saying that you were expecting to close 500 people by end of May. That's the sales, right?
Exactly, exactly. This is my wish personally, or let me say our wish. We don't know if that will happen or will be possible, but I believe during everything what happened today, people will start put more and more trust in that. You know.
Yeah, I'm guessing they will. What about delivery? You were talking about 10 weeks from the time of purchase to delivery 3 weeks ago. What do you think now?
We plan to build these units together, or to complete these units in workshops during July, and get them finally installed in August, optimistically said. So we
Okay.
will be very quick from that point.
So you'd have your trainer workshop. Do you have a schedule yet for the beginning of the training of the trainers workshop?
Well, before we train the trainers, we have to make all, or develop all the papers, and this is obviously the very next step, to get a date together with Detlef Domen and his technicians, to rise the second model step by step by step, to picture everything, to video everything, to make sure that we can have like a manual, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And this manual has been done first, and secondly, or in between, we open the gates for the trainer evaluation, and once this is done, we start training the trainers.
Now, a trainer of the trainers?
No, we start to train the trainers. Sorry.
Right. Now, this manual, do you have people on deck already who are good at doing that, or are you looking for somebody to raise their hand on that?
I raise my
Well,
hands.
JD just raised
oh,
his hand.
great. Actually, okay, I saw that. Okay, well, Christoph definitely needs help on that. And what I can see from my point right now, it's not enough to do that in German. So we definitely need to be international on that.
Yeah. And I can help
But,
you with that. I'm pretty good at that kind of stuff. I'm, good editing and writing, and I'm a technical writer, as you know, so I can help
oh, that
you
would be
in
great.
the final editing of the English version.
Oh, that would be great, because Christoph is well educated, not educated, but he is a huge load of work right now, and he will be. I assume he will be a little bit overloaded to do that with 1 or 2 people only. So I guess and I hope that once they go to Croatia, because this will be most probably done in Croatia at a local destination from Roche, we will go with a group of people over there.
That seems like your
Christoph would like to
logjam.
do that very, very professional, you know?
Yeah, that sounds like your logjam point right now, and that if you could get some volunteer help, JD, are you willing to help on a if-come basis? In other words, you volunteer your time, and then as things come through, then you can be paid retroactively?
Yes, I can. I can definitely invest my time. Depends on the money involved. I mean,
Yeah. This is the topic we definitely have to talk about, because on that workshop price we did not calculate big sales revenues, you know, because we would like to put these units at the lowest possible price, because we knew that it will be difficult. It will be very difficult anyway. So we
sure.
just raised the price for since the public viewing started, but before there was nearly nothing we earned, just to be that the workshop paid. But however, this is in
I'm not
question we
talking about
definitely have to
earnings,
take care for.
Roberto. I'm not talking about earnings. I'm talking about covering the cost.
Well, that's not a problem. By the way, JD, you are located in the Netherlands, right?
That's correct.
Well, so it's time to sleep for you.
It's 3 a.m. Yes, we met today. Remember?
Yes, I know. That's why I'm talking, because I guess you would be tired of driving to Space and back, and you know it's
Yes, I
late.
am.
But well, let me say it's early. However.
Well, you're in the same boat, so I can ask the same question.
Well, I
Aren't
have
you
to go
3
back and
o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
I have to drive back, and I have still about 300 kilometers left, and my current kilometer from today says 2021.
Wow. So you're blowing your data plan in the car, right?
Yes.
So we're serving two purposes. Number one, we're getting a report from you. Number two, we're keeping you awake.
Oh, we can put these things together. That's no problem. No, I'm fine. I know the way everything's okay.
Now, on the one of the issues that I saw as a mechanical red flag today was the rust. It seems like these should be made out of some kind of a durable plastic, not metal.
That was aluminum, and they put just simple water on it. They did not take care for the water. That they did no additional additives or something in that it will will stay clean. So they just filled in simple water because they knew it will not run for.
Yeah, but I was understood that the tank is steel, which is going to rust.
Oh, the tank is puddle-plated steel, exactly. Not the tank, sorry. The tube, the white tube is
The tube, yeah.
made of steel, okay? And the small tubes, the 26 small tubes are made of plastic, not steel.
So the ones that are going to be going out to customers will be plastic?
Yes. We have plastic tubes, most probably about 99%, with about 15 to 18 millimeter material. So this will be industrial plastic.
So
most probably.
So there are no rustable components in the one that will be going out to customers.
That's correct. And even the white will be, not that heavy as steel.
Are you going to have contests about who can decorate their tube the best?
That's a nice idea. We didn't thought about that, honestly.
Serious?
We are really happy. We are really happy that once everybody, you know what will be the last step in rising these or in establishing these units, to put a number on it.
Yeah.
This will be the very, very last. And I believe people are very proud once they have their number on.
Yeah.
So this is a very good limited edition, or a very limited edition, let me say like that.
Yeah, of history.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
JD and everybody who went to speech today, I believe, had a historical moment.
Yeah.
I definitely believe
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. For
Now,
You know,
me, it
JD, what I'm
was.
wondering, you guys, you know what I'm wondering? It was so very, very seldom that anybody got an applause. Not even
Say,
even today, no applause at all.
okay.
You know, in
Well,
the theater, the audience always gives feedback. But today, and with that technology, nobody is giving feedback, nearly.
well, I think that's my nature as well. I'm holding back till the end, and then I start firing my questions. And I I'm not the kind of guy that wants to stay in the first row all the time and want to have the number one rush power plant. It's a great moment. I totally agree with that. But yeah, I can do us here. Yeah.
yeah, I agree. There should have been an applause. I agree.
You know, we had about
Okay.
772 people publicly viewing that piece, you know,
Hmm.
and about 10 of them gave applause. I was wondering about that. Most of them had been open mouthed.
You're
Well, that's
talking
right.
about 722 people who attended the demo?
772 exactly.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So you
Imagine that
just
we
gave
had about. Hmm?
yeah you just gave your own answer. So everybody was baffled and forgot to applaud.
Well, these are
Well,
scientists we're talking about. We're not talking art connoisseurs.
Yeah.
These are nerds.
Yes.
we had 60 viewings, six a day on 10 days. At this series, we had about 18 public viewings before in Kuchel and Salzburg area with the 2-meter functional model. So we had about 78 public viewings meanwhile. Once more, no, sorry, I forgot the trade show in Klagenfurt in Kärntner, because that we had on 4 days as well. So nearly 100 public viewings. This is a crazy lot of work.
How many did you sell so far?
About 350, I said earlier, to selling already.
Yeah.
So 150 to go. Okay.
I'll send you,
Yeah.
JD, my notes from what we said so far. So you can brush up and not repeat your questions.
Oh, don't worry.
Yeah.
These are happy questions, you know. These are not questions I have to think very hard about answers.
Yeah. One of the things I had questions about is the top component. It seems like a weakness of the present prototype is that it's not designed for outdoor um, running, where you need to have some kind of a shelter over it. And also to
Exactly.
allow, like if there's an earthquake, the water will not go through uh, the generator, but will go around, like underneath some of these kind of technical questions. Um, are you going to just have it be up to the customers to work that stuff out?
No, we don't leave them alone, because we are already in charge with some suppliers. First of all, to get a thermal isolation around, and also to get, like, how do you say that, the English word? So, something to cover the upper area. First of all, to get it less noisy, and secondly, to keep the
Waterproof.
exactly, to make it waterproof. Yeah. So we would like to offer two helping units on the kinetic power plant. First of all, is a crane you can mount on the tube outside, very easy to lift that piece for the yearly service. And the second thing will be like a thermal isolation and that tube, not that tube, that body on top. Exactly.
How is that fastened presently?
Well, currently it was fastened with 4 screws, as I remember, JD. You've been looking very closely. Can you agree?
Sorry, I was distracted by a question from Stefan.
Uh,
Don't worry.
on the tube I mean the stuff up above the tube, how is it fastened on? Just 4 screws? Did you notice that?
Yes. Just a few screws, yes.
Okay.
So it was just to make it, just to fix it, but not. It was not made for outside use, as you say. We have to take out for that, but this will not be a big issue.
In terms of logjam point or identifying potential logjam points, it would seem like the design of that is really high in priorities because you're talking about building these schematics and instructions for the trainers, and they can't do schematics until they have a final design. And so somebody needs to come up with a final design of the thermal and the waterproofing of the top system.
That's right. That's right. We will get the plans from Roche very soon. They just make some other tests. They said they will measure all the tolerances. They will see if everything is right in shape as it has to be, and if there have to be any adjustments, they will be done. And once this is done, we get the final drawings. And based on these drawings, we will make a cap and the thermal isolation, and we'll offer these pieces additionally. Because you have to imagine, Starling, these people who board the Kennedy power plant, or all of them, they build it. Not they built. How should I say that? They mount it together. They do it on their own. You know, they are very good. They are skilled because otherwise they would not have attend a workshop. So it's not a big problem for them to make a cap or to make an isolation or individual isolation. And I was talking to a lot of people who would like to put that in a kind of house or just even to in a 2 or 3 meter hole that you have only 1 or 2 meter outside the earth, and people are very creative on that piece.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask something? Detlef today said you need to bury the thing, otherwise it will freeze.
Sorry, can you please ask again? I did not hear you correct.
Sure. Detlef said today you need to bury the tube, otherwise it will freeze.
Oh, that's okay. Yes, truly. But you can also put some additive in, which is called glucol, and glucol is normally used at solar plants. So we can make the water not freezing until minus 40 degrees, and even the water is always in action. So until that water will start to freeze, it has to be very cold. But if you have if you have a position in the mountains and the wind chill factor has to be reviewed, the thermal isolation has to be. But I believe,
Sure.
as I have been talking to many people, most of them will at least 50% dig underground.
Yeah. Also for maintenance purpose, I think burying is the best solution.
Yeah, exactly. Leave 1 meter upon, and you can lift it very easy, and everything is fine.
On industrial scale, that makes sense, but for individual homeowners to dig a hole that big, 5 meters deep, that's going to be at quite a bit of expense and technical. You've got to shore up the ground, and you know that's adding quite a bit to the install costs and technicalities required.
I don't think so.
Oh, the people would like to dig about 2 meters or 1.5 just to make it in a reasonable height, not 4 or 5 meters.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can drill the hole. My company, you can call a company. I think it will take $300-400 to do that.
not tricky.
Right. Or you can hire some illegal aliens.
No, 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 no. No, 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 no.
You know, we had some questions. Um, I don't know if you hire somebody officially, you have to pay all the official fees for them, you know, and to get them invoiced. And if you help your neighbor, we call that black work over here. I don't know if you know that phrase, but the black work means people who not get paid or who get paid without any tax, just from one hand into the other hand, you know. And what we would like to establish is help us or help the people to help themselves, because that local group of 10 or 12 or 15 people, I would say, are very happy or could be very happy to help themselves together.
Do you think that somebody who has built one of these things once in a seminar would then be able to be a trainer for others?
Yes.
Definitely, yes.
It's
You know,
pretty.
Sterling, we built already an HHO cell, you know, a dry cell. And that dry cell consists of about 8,000 different components.
Yeah.
Well,
and you know
it
what
depends.
experience?
Yeah, it depends on the type of person you're dealing with. I'm the kind of guy, if I see it once, I can do it. I'm sure, but yeah.
Well, he's making a good analogy. Go ahead and finish that, JD, on the 8,000 components and the people that are making those.
You know,
What do you mean?
the thing we learned is people get nerds or become nerds, not get, but become nerds. They will, they start very early in that process of the workshop to be very focused, and it's the issue of the trainer to put a certain work to a certain man or woman who attend the workshop. They are very good skilled with. You know, there are people who can very good handle with screws. There are people who can very good handle cables and electricity. There are people who can very good handle metal, and all these things have been during these 10 days for the dry cells have been necessary. It was very complex, and that's why we don't think that there is any problem with this simple, at the end, very simple thing to put that together.
Yeah, once it goes more local, then it'll be more feasible to train local people to install these for others.
Yeah.
Question coming from Stefan, who's on Skype. On the tube, as it was emptied of the float system, he didn't see any photos that people took of going inside the tube and showing where the vertical supports come in and fasten to the tube to show that there are no holes. Were you able to see that, or did you look for that, JD or Roberto? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I guess JD did a lot of photos, so there should be a photo of the empty tube as well.
Yeah, there's a photo of the tube, but not a close-up of where the vertical support fastens to the tube at the top.
Are we still talking about the vertical supports? Come on.
Stefan is. Did you
Yeah.
look in
You
there?
know, I don't understand him, honestly. I don't understand him anymore.
Okay, we're being hold on, we're being recorded, so be nice.
Yeah. I am nice. You know, I sent him an email a couple of weeks ago because he creates, I would say, his own reality, but he has thought to believe that there is no fake, because there simply no is one. I am nice. If I would be not nice, I would send him some people.
The thing is, there's so much being said about the supports, and we have seen them today. If there is, why should there be a hole on the inside if there is no hole on the outside? I mean, ain't that the same thing?
Right, there would have to. there is one way that somebody could have, if you were magicians and you're doing a sleight of hand, you could have uh, actually replaced the system that you had running during the test with except when you guys showed up today, it was running, right?
Yes.
I was going to say they could have
Sure.
replaced it with a dummy, basically a decoy that was without any trickery on it, so that and patched any holes in the wall, so that when you guys showed up today, they would be basically taking down a decoy. But you're saying that it was running and in operation when you showed up, so that kind of rules that out, doesn't it?
You know, the screws have not been let me- deep. What's the opposite of being fastened? Loose,
Shallow?
shallow. So if you once you drill a screw in and then you take it out, so the screws have only taken it or have only been drilled one time, four on the bottom and four at every of these vertical things,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody touched them because there is no. You would have seen something. There, it simply is the model what they put in that place weeks ago.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Ha Had they put a decoy or a dummy system in its place, it would have been almost impossible to have the screws line up at the exact same place with all the welding and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. And even on every picture we show that there are only two tubes. One of these tubes have been finalized to the serial model one, and the other one is still empty, laying around in the hole.
Hmm. Well, the way a skeptic could think is that if you could build two, you could build more, and there could have been one somewhere else with the same writing on it that could have been brought in as a dummy.
Oh yes, truly.
I'm used to thinking with the mind of a skeptic.
Yeah.
But very skeptic. You might have seen a lot of things to make you that way skeptic.
Well, I've heard a lot of really rude comments over the years that are very so I know to try and anticipate what they might be saying.
Yes, and besides also, if there would not be so much, or let me say, part of that negative or part of that critic who came up also helped us to improve the transparency of what we are showing. So people always gave, let me say, hidden inputs, what we took up and tried to show or tried to test or tried to, all these load differences, for example, that
Hmm.
we just disconnect and connect an infrared header who has a lot of load by 1.2 kilowatts. Once the one, I don't know who was arguing that, but the question came up, and we said, well, why not doing that? Exactly. So this is not
Yeah,
always
I
a bad thing
remember.
to be critical, but
Hmm.
I
it's the
remember
kind of
when you.
critic.
Sorry, we got some lag on the line, but I remember in the live stream, in the first
Yeah.
demonstrations, Christoph didn't open the cabinets and stuff, and didn't detect some loads. And a couple of days later, you guys did that. So,
Yeah, exactly. And
and
Christoph
if you,
also put the microphone next to the tube to make sure. Okay, can you hear the babble?
yes, but also if you knew everything from up front, you would never have attached the tube to the wall, did you?
Yeah. Well, whatever we do, it's not enough. This is the lesson I learned.
Well,
But
skeptics can be pretty resilient.
that's
All right,
why
Stu.
that's why our favorite interest is to put these 500 pieces installed and to get these things ready. Because
Yeah.
once this is done, everybody will be yeah, silent.
Well, that's going to take a few months to get all of those done. By the time you've got three or four running, that will give the information you need to get the ball turning, or the next step of a flood of interest.
That's right. That's right. I'm pretty hopeful that will happen soon.
Yeah, let's go
Because
back to time frame where we were talking about step 1 is to finish the plan, step 2 is to do a training of the trainers,
yeah,
and that will be in July, and then August you want to start. You're hoping to have the first set of people trained in July, in August start installing, correct?
exactly. In August we would like to train about 40 different trainers, so that we can wide up the range very quick.
Yeah, it'll go exponential.
Exactly.
And what you might want to do in your early sales is focus on people who are able to propagate. So if you have a choice between two people to buy one, you go with the person who's able to install and teach classes locally of how other people can make one. And you know, if you have, it could be like a multi-level marketing company where they get a percentage of the, you know, sales revenue. So it's an income stream for them. That could be really help it go not only from a curiosity and being part of the future, but also from a financial point of view, creating jobs and income for people. That could really help this thing go viral too.
Yeah, that's
No.
true. That's true.
Can I
You
ask you
know, I would
something?
say,
Why you,
oh, sure, just go ahead.
I seem to have some lag on the line. Okay. Why do you think that's a business model, Sterling? Because we were only talking about 500 devices.
Well, at some point, they're going to go way beyond 500, and these things are going to be going viral. Everyone's going to want one, and they're going to be spreading like wildfire. And if you have a way to help propagate that by putting an income stream in its propagation, that'll help get them dispersed faster.
Well, I touched on that subject with Roberto. Maybe you can take it from here.
Um, Sorry, I have a very bad connection from now until the next 10 to 15 minutes. I know that. So sometimes it might interrupt. Can you please ask again?
We're talking about the business model of getting these things out to the people, and I was talking about having an income incentive for people who are installing these things and selling them, or getting the word out about them. Somebody's got one, like for example, Ronnie, he's got one in his house and his neighbors are going to be very interested, and the local media will pick it up, and he's going to have automatically local sales, people who want to get these things. And if he has the ability to make money on each system sold and installed, that's going to help propagate the technology.
Well, this is definitely something we have to find any solution somehow later on. Because currently we definitely talk about these 500 pieces, these pioneer pieces, and whatever comes next, we don't know exactly, you know?
You're going to have to start thinking about that because that's going to come sooner than you think.
Well, we are thinking about that, but there is no official statement already possible.
Well, the more you can make this thing open source in terms of the ease of manufacturing locally, so all people have to do is download some plans, send it to a local machine shop, and print out the components so that you don't have to ship from Germany, but you can make it locally wherever you are on the planet. And you also have the instructions of how to install, then it can propagate very rapidly.
I do understand that point. I do understand, but also please we have to make sure that these systems are correctly running and being right installed and everything is on the right place and very well, let me say, put in shape. Because if these systems, if you download a plan and you do it not with the necessary tolerances, the system will might be not work very nice. So you get again criticism.
Yeah. But this is a system that is easy enough that it wouldn't be too hard to meet those tolerances and to um, specify this is very important that you get this exactly right?
I know what you're talking about, but Russia is telling a different thing. They say it's not that easy to adjust everything on very low tolerances. The most work is adjusting work to get those noses in the right position, to get the chain correctly, and to get all these small tubes correctly and very nice finished. All of these things are tricky. We can handle that, but they are tricky. And if
Mm-hmm.
people just focus only 90% on accuracy, it might the 10% will cause problems. We have to solve later on because people get not satisfied, and I generally I know what you're talking about, but this has to be thought very let me say exactly.
Right. So basically what you're talking about is the manufacturers will need to have a training when they license to manufacture in Chile, for example. They would need to come to Germany for a week and get all the necessary specs and informations about how to do this properly. And so rather than having the manufacturing be in this open source spirit that I was talking about, it would be more traditional. Um, and so the rollout locally would be by sourcing a local manufacturer. So if you're in South America, at first you might have to order one from Brazil if you live in Chile, and then after a while, then you can get a manufacturer in Chile, and so you can get it more local um, as more manufacturers get trained and up to speed.
Okay. So we are talking very theoretical right now, but in general, I agree that I like the idea, if it's possible, to do things local, to get people in jobs, to establish local dealers who maybe also sell these systems turnkey, what could be a possibility as well, and also maybe to offer an open source version. In open source, in that meaning that you can make all the metal things locally based on the right drawing.
Yeah, and
It makes
once
no sense to ship. Sorry, it makes no sense to ship metal things to Chile or to Brazil because they have educated suppliers for these things over there as well.
correct. And one of the
But
things, one model that I'd
yeah,
like to mention to you about open sourcing is called open license. And what it means is that, let's say, for example, I'm in Chile and I want to manufacture these. I could download a set of plans from your website that would have all of the specifications and all the tolerances required, all the information I need to set up a manufacturing operation. And then I would actually go into business. And then once I start selling systems, I would send you a royalty, let's say 5% of all systems built. I would send a 5% royalty to Gaia or to Roche. And after you're in business, not before. So rather than having an upfront license and you have to screen and you have to go through all this process of vetting the manufacturers and they come and get trained, if they basically take their own initiative, they learn what is required by the online documentation, they do the translations locally into their local language, and they start building. And when they build, when they sell, they send you a check for a royalty. So it's an honor system, but it enables the rollout in a viral way so that you're not having to the only time you get royalty check is when somebody's making something. And you can have on your website a list of bona fide manufacturers who are doing the right thing by sending you the royalty. And so if I'm in Chile and I want to see where can I get one of these things, your website shows me where the local one is, and it shows me that I can buy one from this company in Chile. They're set up in the proper royalty arrangement where they're making them to spec, and they're sending their money as they should on each system sold. And so they get recognized on your website. People who don't aren't listed on your website, so people can't find them as easily.
Okay, okay. You definitely have the advantage that English is your mother language, because it doesn't only make very good sense, it sounds also very good, honestly. If I try to tell you that my words or my formulation, or not my formulation, my expressions are very hard, and they don't sound that good. I like to hear you, really.
Thank you. Well, I've been
No,
pursuing.
it definitely makes sense. It definitely makes sense. But again, this is very theoretical right now. But that kind of system would make sense, exactly. Sure.
Well, from a royalty point of view, think about it. If you have something as simple as what you guys have, this is not rocket science. This is something that just about any manufacturer in the world could handle, no problem. Yeah, there are some tolerances or some things that are tricky, and if those are all spelled out in a set of designs that people can download for a fee, then they can build them properly. And
Sterling,
so,
Sterling, there is also another way to go with this. Think about the control unit. The control unit contains software. So if the control unit stays from Roche or from Gaia, and the manufacturer offshore will buy those controllers from whoever makes them, that's the
Yeah.
royalty. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Yeah, that
And
makes sense, because Roche will always deliver the key components.
Yeah, which is the controller.
Yeah, exactly. And these guys are the technology owners, so it makes sense to keep it right there.
that would be
Definitely.
the point that would keep it from and there would also be an honor system that people would want to have the designated logo on, like the Intel Inside logo on the computer that says, this is what I have inside here. Uh, the by having the logo of Roche on there, it says that we're bona fide, and people out of moral ethics will only get from bona fide dealers. Otherwise, they're being dishonest by buying pirated technology.
Yeah, I do understand, and I like the idea as well, because it's simple, it's very quick, and wide possible to handle.
And this way, you can get these things out there like a virus, where it goes in a
Definitely.
logarithmic fashion.
Oh yeah.
And you create jobs, millions of jobs in a month, as opposed to if you go traditional routes, then it takes years to get to the same point.
I do understand. I do understand.
Yeah. Um, Now, on that end of things, now let's talk for a minute about the relationship between Gaia and Roche. And you have a license for the 5 kilowatt system. Is this a worldwide license, or is it just local in German speaking countries, or what's the relationship there?
We are able to sell these 5 kilowatt systems worldwide.
Hmm. Do you have an
So
exclusive?
yes, these 5 kilowatt. We order these 5 kilowatt things, so that means we have these systems exclusively. Exactly.
Okay.
They have been developed based on our agreement.
So really, when it comes to the 5 kilowatt home power system, Gaia is the driver and Roche is a supplier.
Exactly. We have a customer supplier relation. Exactly.
Hmm. And when we're talking about the rollout of via open source, and which is really the better word is not open source. When people hear open source, they think free. That I
Yeah,
download some plans and you can do anything you want with it. Whereas open license implies a royalty kind of relationship, so that I can download the plans and I can start a business without a license first. But once I'm selling things, I'm required, whether I'm selling kits, plans, translations, uh, components, servicing, finished units, franchises, anything you sell has a 5% royalty and needs to be paid on that's the open license. It implies that you're getting money for what you're doing, and yet you're creating jobs. People are being given a job opportunity by launching these things. And as word gets out about this thing, you better believe there's going to be a lot of people wanting to go into business doing this.
I do understand what you're talking about, and I like the idea again, as I said before. And however we put that on the right words, I like the idea to keep it simple, you know.
Yeah,
And keeping something simple will make sure that it can roll out very fast, and you only have one time to prepare it on a very professional way.
yeah,
So, for example, if you have the manual done in English, or let me say you have a translation file like every plugin developer does, and everybody can just sentence by sentence or phrase by phrase translate into his own language. You do that work one time, and you can afterwards you can have it in 10 different languages within a week.
mm-hmm.
You know, and this kind of model, or this kind of or let me say, to organize work like that definitely makes sense. Exactly.
Yeah. And what that enables you to do once you've got um, the open source version of that, I would wait until you have some systems running on homes to verify that this plan results in a functioning unit, and you have a video that shows from beginning to end, from the time of downloading the plans to assembling to installing the electronics and putting it in a home. You show the process from beginning to end, and then you see a customer with their electrical bill going to zero from the power company, and you have that then translated into other languages. Now you've got something that is going to go viral very rapidly. Now, one question. In this scenario that we're talking about, this is actually a contrary point of what we're talking about. One of the things that brings price down is mass production, and mass production requires somebody's going to be putting up major capital costs, $100 million, for example, for a manufacturing plant. And if people are able to make these things locally fairly in a somewhat affordable way, is that going to impede the mass production that could bring the price down to half?
I know what you're talking exactly. I do understand that. It speeds up the process, and it still keeps it simple. And again, you only have to do all the work one time in the early beginning, very professional, and you can duplicate or triplicate, or yeah, it can duplicate itself very quick.
Yeah.
I think that was not the question, right?
No? Did I understand something wrong?
I don't know.
Let me rephrase the what I'm saying. Um, when you go to mass production, it
Yeah.
costs a lot of money to build a manufacturing plant.
Oh,
Uh,
yes, that's right.
you've got, maybe $100 million, for example, to build a plant that can crank these things out very quickly and very cheaply. And to come up with that kind of money, investors want to see some kind of an exclusive tie-up of the technology for a territory or for some other way of having an assurance that the money that they put into this manufacturing plant is going to be returned. And so if we're open sourcing the technology and people can download the plans and make them anywhere, is that going to be a blockage to somebody who might otherwise put up money for a mass production of this thing?
Now I got you better. Yeah. Now I got you better. So you don't have to put a production line, let me say, you would not have to put a very expensive production line on one place together, but you can do it locally wherever you want, and you keep the costs low, and you keep the process quick.
That's one thing that's really nice about this, is it's so simple that it can be done locally, regionally, which will keep the cost down.
We know that model already, because every day when I look at fingertips, you might know the fingertips is the UK. It's a series for children at the TV, and they call it fingertips.uk. I mean, and there's a girl and a boy, and these both represent within 2 or 3 minutes every day something a child can do very quick with very simple materials and very creative ideas. And this is the kind of same thing, because they thought about one time, they published it on the website, and everybody can, let me say, download the plans and do it on their own behalf, very easy, very quick. So the model behind this, the idea behind is maybe the same as we would like to, or as we are able to establish on industrial base or industrial ground of that technology. The system behind the idea is nearly identical.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice, again. We are talking very theoretical, but the idea behind is nice and very ethic. So my navigation will again talk some sentences. Don't worry about it.
You're out of your rainstorm. Is it still thundering and lightning?
Well, I still have rain, but not heavy rain anymore.
Uh-huh. What to you was the high point of these last 3 weeks demonstration?
The height? What? The highlight?
Yeah.
Well, the highlight. I would say, for me personally, one of the highlights was to see all these positive emotions.
On the last day, or when in particular?
No, generally, because I'm very, or let me say, I had to do very much emails in front of that public viewing event, of these public viewing events, and about 70 to 80% of all these emails have been critical.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me personally, it was a highlight to see that the people aren't that critical, because only those 10 or 20% of critic people have been writing emails, but all these 80% of people thinking positive have been attending the viewings. So that
Right.
was one of the highlights for me personally, because I was really unsure what will come up within these 10 days. how easy it will be to handle that.
Was
And
that
even
why one of the reasons you had the price of 40 euros to attend the demonstration, to basically provide a filter of only the serious players would show up?
no, this is about to cover the cost of that viewing at all. And by the way, we did not nearly cover the cost. It was just let me say, a part of the cost we had, to make it also a little bit valuable, not to take money from the people. That was not the intention. But something what does not cost a penny is mostly not worth a penny. And
Right.
we would like to put a little bit cost on this, so we could refinance the events a little bit at least. And to everybody who owns or who will own a system, we did not, of course, not issue any cost. So we did not put any money on them.
So so the people who have prepaid on a system didn't have to pay the 40 euros to show up?
Exactly, they got for free, and even one attendant. So only who had interest and would like to see that was in charge to pay something.
What were the costs involved of doing the demo?
Well, first of all, security, because in front of these events, we got a lot of troubling emails, and these emails showed us, or these messages showed us, we have to rise the security level. All that personnel had to be paid, and additionally, we had a buffet. Additionally, we had all the guys helping us to make that round, and to have all these travel. We had a lot of travel expenses. All these things together, you can buy a nice car.
Right. Okay, that helps. I can understand, and thanks for elaborating on that. At first, I was thinking that you've got a facility that there's no fee there, I would imagine.
No. We have been guests over there. No.
That's a good location, so close to the Cologne airport.
Yeah, I like the location, and Mr. Domin likes it as well. And I think it's very valuable from the position, very valuable from the size, and you can do a lot of prototyping and a lot of developing over there.
Close is an understatement. It's in the backyard.
Isn't it a 5-minute drive from the airport?
Closer.
Wow.
Yeah. You can
If
see
the
the planes going
if
in
the
and
planes
out.
flew any lower, they would knock over your tube?
That's correct.
Over the big one, yeah, exactly. Funny. By the way, it's nearly 4 in the morning here, locally.
It's almost 8 o'clock in the evening here.
Oh, 3:50 a.m. here. Jesus.
Yeah, it's my time.
How close are you to
Good,
your
right?
destination?
I have about 160 kilometers left, so that means about 100 miles. I mean, no, 80 miles. 80 miles.
That's not bad.
No, it will be an hour and a quarter. I mean.
Well, this has been a fun conversation to have and record. You don't mind that I post this, right?
Well, I don't know if my English is that good that you can post it.
Oh, it's fine.
It is.
Yeah, it's very understandable. The hard one to understand is the Indian accent.
The Indian accent?
From India.
Accent? Oh, the English, the Indian English. Okay.
Yeah.
But you know,
That's
I like the international English. I have been um, I have been one of the first school children. No, sorry, I have to start differently. In the early 90s, we've been the first school class from Germany, from the eastern part of Germany, who had the possibility to travel to the U.S. And I guess this stint for about 8 weeks gave me the possibility to become or to lose my respect for the English language. I tried to express everything with easy words, and it was very necessary over there because nobody spoke German. So we've been thrown into the cold water.
hmm
And during that process, I have been talking to a lot of people, meanwhile, who speak English out of different countries, out of China, out of Taiwan, out of Korea, out of UK for sure, and even the
Yes, that
Czechs
helps.
and the Russian people. And I have been here. I have been listening to so many different
dialects.
dialects. Exactly, I like them all because you can always understand yourself or understand as a group. It's funny sometimes, really, indeed, but you always can understand, and that makes things. I like to speak different languages.
The thing is, the English grammatics are far easier than the German is.
Oh well, indeed. If I would have to learn German, I would not success, not succeed. I don't believe that. It's really hard. Sometimes I struggle myself.
Well, Roberto, you have seen my wife,
Yeah.
and she is from Germany. Well, does this even matter to the
Okay.
conversation? Okay, leave it out.
Okay. Darling, you have to cut that.
I missed it, so I don't know if other people will miss it too. I missed whatever you just said. It went over my head.
Oh no, I didn't say anything important. It just didn't add something to the conversation. So
Yeah,
Oh, that's very nice.
back to talking about open sourcing. One of the things that is very advantageous about open sourcing is it makes it available to the entire planet, no matter where they live or what language they speak. Somebody in Malaysia can translate it, and then somebody else can build it, and you can create jobs overnight in Malaysia.
It's a good feeling to think or to feel it, to feel inside that idea. It's really a nice feeling, and I believe this is one of the tasks we in generally have to solve somehow to make life more valuable or more comfortable in many areas of the planet. This would
you
solve
know,
a lot of problems.
let me add something to the conversation right now. I think if people have access to energy in ways we are exploring all together, what I'm doing with the foundation GlobalBEM, I think if people have access to free energy, in I think that will be also a redistribution of wealth in the world.
Yeah, it levelizes the playing field.
Correct.
Yeah, the open
Imagine,
source, rather than making a few people very rich, creating a bunch of Bill Gates, it creates a whole bunch of a lot of it creates millions of somewhat wealthy people who are locally distributing and manufacturing and building and translating and servicing these systems.
Exactly.
It creates
yeah,
hope. And as I have always said, I'm going to interject something here, which is a bit of a tangent. Are you getting good rain again?
Well, hard rain, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Free energy is all about freedom, power to the people. And right now in the world, we have deserved the tyranny that we're getting because we have sown wickedness and corruption as a civilization. And that's why clean energy technologies haven't come forward. And to me, what appears to be like this Gaia-Rosch technology coming forward tells me that there's a transformation of the planet underway to wake people up to the goodness and godness that is in them so that they can deserve the free energy and the freedom that free energy brings. Does that make sense?
To me, it
Jesus,
does.
that does not even make sense. That is the biggest truth. That's really true, yeah.
Yeah. And so the message of this going forward is a message that the bad guys are losing their control on the world.
Mm, I would say this is a kind of process because these massive changes will take its time, and it's a learning process for everybody. And to come back to a learning process, I believe within that project for the 500, it's a learning process as well to understand that there are things you haven't learned, you're not able to understand at the very first point, but once you dive into, it becomes logic, and it makes sense, and it's nice. And finally, some people say, yes, I want to have it.
On the supply side for getting this thing out to the planet, is there a weak point or a logjam point in the supply chain? For example, on the larger system, they're talking about a limit of 2 gigawatt per year because of some rare earth neodymium that's hard to get. And they can only handle 2 gigawatt production per year. Are there supply chain limits like that on the 5 kilowatt system?
Um, honestly, you have that interview with Mr. Doman, and he's arguing the bottleneck on the magnets.
Yeah.
So these magnets are wherever you use a generator in that kind of technology, you have to use these magnets. So this is a kind of bottleneck as long you can open that, or as long Russia's able to open that.
My
I've asked him.
That would be
understanding
possible.
that bottleneck is on the larger sizes only because when you have a really large generator, it requires a much larger magnet, and it's going to be harder to source that. Whereas on the smaller generators, it's not going to have the same limitation from what I understand. And also, we know an inventor in Turkey who's coming up with a electromagnet that performs better than a permanent magnet motor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his name is Attila Alperin.
All right. But getting back to the question, I asked Mr. Doman today about this neodymium problem, and he said, I'm secured for the next 40 years.
Secure, but that doesn't mean supply chain can be met.
That's what he meant.
What we're talking about is we've got a planet of 7 billion people. How do we get energy to 7 billion people if there's a supply chain limit of 2 gigawatts per year?
Exactly.
And I'm guessing that that supply limit is on the larger sizes, not on the 5 kilowatt size.
I don't think so. Both generators will will need neodymium inside. So
if that can be solved by the Turkish technology, then that stops being a logjam point.
yeah, could be. I'm not familiar with the technology you just mentioned, but I will need to look into that. Sounds interesting.
We've covered him periodically in our news. It's pretty hard to believe, but he has some pretty interesting videos and claims, and has been checked into by some pretty smart people, and I tend to believe that he's onto something.
Okay, we'll look it up. Send me a link.
Yeah, I'll send you a link. Put it in the chat here.
Later on.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm having really hard rain over here. It's incredibly. I see lightnings all around, and it's like driving through the hell.
Climate change.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I don't
While
know.
we're talking about climate change, I have to just chime in something really quick. You've got to listen to Dale Wigington talking about how they're using chemtrails and also HARP to cause the drought in California. They're actually pushing the moisture over California, around California, so it's hitting the rest of the country, and California is not getting it, as a way to help bring down the economy of the United States.
So, okay, the main question is why? So it's a designed route over there.
It's a designed drought to bring us into slavery, to empower the New World Order, to turn us into slaves.
All right.
And to destroy the greatness of America by bringing us to its knees economically, to create, when price of food gets too high, people start rioting, and you start losing your infrastructure. People are burning down buildings and destroying bridges, and it destroys the country. That's one way to bring it about. And things like this provide a solution to that, to help ease off the anxiety of the people, because they can see a solution coming to the problems that they're facing, so they don't go to rioting and destroying things.
So creating a problem and offering a solution.
Yep.
Yeah, it's done before, so.
It's done routinely in the United States. False flag operations, 911 was an inside job. I know you know that, JD. What do you think about that? If we go off topic for a second,
Oh man.
Roberto, 911 an inside job?
Well, I just have a Snickers in my mouth. I can't talk. I'm honest. What should I say? I'm honest.
It's very well possible an inside job. Yes, most likely. Actually, I got no doubts. But anyway.
It looks like. Go ahead.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And I don't have a real clue on what's real and what's not real, or what's fake. But one thing I did understand very fast and very clear, that there is no situation bad enough to don't joke, to do not develop jokes out of that. If I remember the day, and I clearly remember that day, because we've been sitting in front of the monitors and could not imagine what happens there. It was maybe 1 or 2 days later, and the jokes about that, what really took a lot of people their lives, indeed, had been running over the world. And I was a little bit disappointed, not a little bit, honestly, I was really disappointed that the first thing what was developed globally a lot about that.
Okay, let me put it in a different way. Inside job, I don't know. False flag, 100% sure.
Yeah. Here's to me, the smoky gun issue is that Building 7 was not hit by a plane, and it fell in controlled demolition style at free fall speed, which is only possible if you have pre-placed demolition charges in the building, which requires it to be an inside job.
Agree. Fully agree to that. That's the when it comes to the topic at several other locations, I always mention Building 7 to look into that first.
Yeah.
For me, it's hard to believe, guys. For me, this is really hard to believe, because that makes me think that people are so bad that they calculate with the life of, I don't know how 2,000 or 3,000 people died that day, right?
Exactly.
How can you argue against your own race that you can take the life of 3,000 people in one day, these days, right now? I
Well,
believe.
it's not 3,000. It's much more. Look at the lives that's were taken in Iraq and everywhere else in the world. It's much more than 3,000. 3,000 is on the lower end of the numbers, on the lower side.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is particular at these two towers. How many lives have been taken within about 2 hours?
Many.
You know,
Yeah, it was 3,600, I think.
This is the point. This is the point. This is no other race on this planet would plan such a thing, but people do that, and this is the point I do not understand.
Well, historically, there have been more wicked people than that. Hitler, we don't have to go much further than that to illustrate that they were rounding up people and putting them in concentration camps, torturing them, throwing babies in the air and shooting them. Human beings are capable of very wicked behavior.
Even wickeder is people denying that.
Yeah, but we should have learned something about that or from that.
Okay,
should.
Roberto.
Yeah.
Roberto, people are that bad, believe me.
Okay. Okay. I understood. But
Yeah.
I'm not. Neither my intention.
It's hard for somebody who doesn't have that in them to comprehend how somebody else could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
we are really crazy animals. We are, aren't we?
how many
Yes,
people
yeah.
are in Gaia, if we could change the subject again, how many people are involved in the team to help roll this thing out?
Currently the project team is very small. It consists out of less than 10 people. The Gaia organization itself, fortunately, became bigger through that opening process, through these public viewings. It rose from about 2,500 for about 300 or 400 people more. So we are very happy to see the organization growing and make it more and more stable. So I like that. It makes sense to become bigger and bigger. So that means our voice becomes stronger and stronger, and the power to put things in place is even bigger.
What is your you're the CEO of Gaia, so you're both involved in this project and in the larger view as well, correct?
I am, right. That's correct. I took that job, not job. I took that task. Let me say like that. By last October, because we founded the organization out of 6 people in September 2011, you know, and we always try to catch up all the different tasks by all these people. And at a certain point, we came across that this is not working anymore. It needs one person, one guy or one woman to totally concentrate on all things and to keep all the leashes in one hand. And that became me. And I'm very honored to do that. On the other hand, it's a very, let me say, difficult task.
Yeah.
But I like it. I like it. Definitely. I love what I do.
I can
And,
imagine that. Yeah.
You know, we have a quick workshop, the quantum energy generator, on this weekend, on Saturday and Sunday. You know, and
So that thing works?
the issue of that, well, exactly that's the question. We are not willing, or let me say, the goal is not to keep one thing running. The goal is to prove if it runs or not.
So what do you think?
Officially prove that.
What do you think, or what do you know?
Well, what I've seen meanwhile, I believe it could be. Or let me say that in a different way. If you handle that project, or if you dive into that project, you will very soon, or you will understand very quick that it's all about very high electricity.
High voltage, yes.
You have to secure yourself, you have to secure all the attendants, and you have to secure the people who play with that technology. It's not that easy.
That's correct.
It seems, you know, and people are not calculating that risk from the early beginning once they start. And you have to train them, you have to teach them, and you have to make them understand this is risky.
Well,
you know,
everything that deals with high voltage is dangerous, but if you go back to the Gaia device or the Roche device, it's putting out 220 volts, which is legal as well. So, okay, you got to know what you're doing.
Exactly. But to come back to the crack project, I hope it works.
The QEG, I don't know.
I hope.
I was very optimistic about it in the beginning.
I leave it open.
I have good hopes for it, and it's not an easy technology.
No, it isn't.
Indeed not.
Yeah. It's not a good open source project because it's too difficult to be open source.
Actually, it's the last project I was interested in before this one.
Okay. You know, our group, meanwhile, consists out of 30 to 40 different people in different regions. They network together, and from time to time they meet and share all the new things. And
That's a good way to do it.
This weekend is such a date again. On Saturday and Sunday they meet in the Salzburg area, and they travel from everywhere. They travel from Germany, they travel from Austria, of course, and they take a lot of kilometers to meet.
Can I tune in via Google Hangout?
Sure you can join, but it's a German-speaking group.
Aber kein Problem, oder?
No. I don't say I don't say it's a problem. It's just well, I would give them a little time, and it becomes more and more structured, you know. And I would say in some months from now, that whole project could look more clear than it currently looks. But I'm optimistic again. I'm optimistic. I guess they catch it.
One of the things that is going to happen is that once one of these free energy technologies breaks into public consciousness, there's also going to be a shift of consciousness about all things free energy, because you're going to realize that the scientists who said this is impossible were wrong. And they're going to wonder what else that they said was wrong and impossible is also possible. And it will open the doors for these other technologies to come forward, cold fusion, magnet motors, etc.
That's the right impact behind. Exactly. You put it in the right words. I had the same thought, but I did not know how to express, and you put it in very good words. Exactly, that will happen,
And
and we will be surprised what will come up.
and so people who should be cautioned about not getting too excited about the Roche, the buoyancy device, because there will be other technologies that will come out soon that will be much cheaper to build and manufacture than this large, somewhat clunky 5 kilowatt power plant.
Honestly, I don't know. I think that behind the line of that technology will come up a lot of other things as well. And I'm very interested in being able to handle some of them. I hope people put enough trust in our organization to show up and say, hey, can you help me with this, or can you help me with that, or do you think this will work or that will work? And we have some very skilled people meanwhile, and we can evaluate things maybe a little bit better. And sometimes people develop about 95% of an idea already, and the finalizing 5% they miss. So maybe we could deliver a nice impact, and they got the 100 and get the thing running. That would help everybody.
Yeah. I just got a text from Stefan saying he's getting ready to go to bed. So I guess we missed him. I mentioned to him that if he wanted to hang on, now he's typing. Give him a chance to ask a few questions. Are you up to that?
I am.
Okay. Let me pull him in just a second. Oops. Add to call.
Hello?
Okay. Hey, Stefan, you're a late nighter. Isn't it
Yeah,
like
that's right. Yeah.
4:20
Yeah,
p.m. or
I just
a.m.?
wanted to go to sleep now, but okay, if we
Yeah.
can have a chat here, I can still be up for now half an hour or
Also, die
something.
Deutschsprache sind jetzt in der Mehrzahl. Also.
Okay.
Okay, let's keep it in English. This is for an English audience.
All right.
That's okay. I was just joking.
Well, Stefan, you sound really tired, but do you want to lobby a few questions over to Roberto?
Well, I just saw that they have uploaded the whole dismantling video from today, and I just reviewed it. And after 3 hours, 8 minutes, and 19 seconds, the security man shuts down the power plant, and so it's not possible to have with a 4 lead acid batteries this running for 3 hours if there might be a hidden inverter somewhere. because the people at All Mysteries speculated that they had a hidden inverter there, which was powered by the lead acid batteries in this cabinet box, but I just calculated it, and it would just run at the 2,500 watts loads lights, maybe only for only 8 minutes. So 3 hours runtime, then it's not possible. So
Not only that, the wiring is much too thin and will probably melt the batteries as well under that load.
So what you're
is it?
saying is,
Yeah.
Gentlemen, honestly, I was hoping you say congratulations.
Congratulations for the big fake. No, really, it's really it might be genuine now, I guess. I don't know, but
Wow, that's an applause.
or we have a hidden cable on the floor somewhere, but I wasn't there, so I can't.
Stefan, stop it, please, stop it. It doesn't make sense. You run more and more into a problem if you stay on that meaning. Really.
All right, I will stop it now.
I take it serious, please. However, I think we had a very good day today, and I got one of my guys calling me during the drive. I'm still on the car, about 2,500 kilometers currently today, and he was telling me that you interpreted, or let me say, you put an audio signal on the live stream, and he heard you sometimes just, let me say, being very serious. Well, there is nothing. Well, there is no thing what looks like a fake. Well, there is no cable, and indeed there is no. Please accept that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and if I could summarize what I just heard Stefan say, is that today we saw the device run for at least 3 hours, and then it was disassembled from the wall. And the only way it could have done that is if it was for real, because there's nothing in any of those compartments, either in the tube or in either of the control panels that were opened where you could see inside. There's nothing in there big enough to run it for 3 hours.
Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah, that's okay with me.
So are you ready to conclude that it's for real?
As it seems now, it's for real, but I haven't been there. Sorry, but okay, we'll see what comes out.
By the way, why didn't you come? We invited you a couple of times.
I wasn't invited.
I invited you personally.
When?
One of my last emails, Stefan, I told you, why don't you come to Spish? Will you be present over there? Check your box, please.
Right. Yeah, I must confess that I really am in this moment a little bit busy over here, and I didn't have time to go there. I would have liked to go there, but I have some schedule over here. I have to finish some other work here, which is really important to do now, and I couldn't afford to go there now because yeah, I have really some paperwork to do here and to finish soon, and that's now on my time schedule, so it would have thrown me back a bit too much. Sorry.
I'm really trying to understand that, but it's very hard. Because if I imagine all the hours you spend in documenting YouTube things and all these things, it would have cost you maybe 10% of the time to come to Spish. Honestly.
Well, yeah, but I'm at my home. I can also do my other work over here, you know. I have not just been at the computer.
I try to understand exactly.
Yeah.
No, I'm friendly.
Yeah. Okay.
What are the comments like? I haven't been watching the forum at all. What are the comments going back and forth over on your forum about this?
Well, yeah, the people just ponder what they have seen now, and on the other forums, yeah, on my forum, they are more positively now. On the All Mystery forum, they are more still negatively because they are looking for the fake now. It depends on which forum you go, you know. But yeah, okay, Roche had 1 week time to change things. That's for sure. The last time the live stream was really live was at the 8th of May. I guess they switched it off to the still frame at the evening of
Frozen.
8th of May. So yeah, frozen still frame. Um, so they had a few days time to change things. But I don't know. It's if they really change things, they have done it very well. Let me say it this way. But okay, today the 3 hours running time in this changed mode is already very convincing, I must say. That's now for sure. Yeah.
What do you mean by
I would,
change mode?
Jody, go ahead.
What do you mean by change mode?
He's
Naja,
talking about, you know, the live stream was down for several days and didn't come up again till today. And today with the live stream on, they showed it running for 3 hours before they disassembled it. And to
All
have
right.
5 kilowatts of continuous power for 3 hours is not conceivable given what chambers they had to hide or have some kind of trickery going on.
that's
Right.
right. That's what I meant. Yes, right.
I would sum up with following words, and I try to do that very nice because this is a historical moment from my understanding. Yeah, we all have the chance. We all have the chance to help together to put these 500 units as soon as possible with all our powers we do have currently on the landscape, on the German-speaking landscape, because this is very easy to access. And everybody of us in that group, in that small group this night or this morning, we could do our own, let me say, piece of the task to help it, to make it happen. Because this will be the biggest thing we ever have seen. And we can help together to create
So
that
far.
situation very far. Exactly, so far, JD.
Sounds like a plan.
I would like that.
Well,
So
Roberto, then maybe you can still tell us how you do. You only have about 200 watts of mechanical output power at the Paternoster at the top, and how do you convert 200 watt output power to 5 kilowatts output power? Do you have a special generator up there, over Unity generator?
Indeed, there's a general. There is a special generator, of course. Yes, but the sum of all, well, I'm tired also. First of all, I'm not the technical guy in that project. I'm the communicating guy in the project. So this is the first step. Yes, technical questions I do hard to answer. And secondly, we never said it's only one Kraft. What's the kind for what's the English word for Kraft? I'm looking for that. Power? No, not power. JD, help me.
Force.
Say that
Force.
again.
Force. Exactly. Force.
Okay.
Force. Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you.
But you
We
mean
never saw.
power.
Yeah. No. Sorry. We never said it's only one force creating all the efforts of that system. It's the combination of a couple of forces. And from the videos we took today and from some of the explanations what will show up, what people and even Mr. Doman said today, it will be maybe a little bit more easy to understand, and we will try to finish these things very quickly, and also see this on Gaia-TV, because they also monitored and videoed all that situation over there and will show up very soon, I believe. So it will change from negative to positive. I'm quite optimistic, and this is a situation we will see very soon. I hope that.
If they don't have an over unity or the let me say it this way, the generator must really do an COP of 24 at least to get this power out there. So they must be having a real big over unity generator over there with a real big efficiency. Otherwise, you couldn't get all this torque out there via the small gearbox, which is also in normal physical terms not possible to get these high Newton meters torque over there. If it's be a normal generator, which back drag. So if you drive 5 kilowatts with a normal generator, then you really need a high geared torque to overcome this. It would be a few thousand Newton meters to transmit over there in the small gearbox, which would probably rip apart the change and this gearbox. So it could only be if there's really a big COP over unity generator at the top there.
You know, Stefan, I've heard those arguments, and to me, just from a horse sense point of view, which means just like a farmer who's just naturally smart and doesn't have to have schooling to understand what he understands, just looking at it from a natural knowledge point of view, 5 kilowatts is a lot of power, but it's not that much. And it wouldn't,
Yeah,
the
but
size of
if you really put a 5 kilowatts load on a generator, then try to turn it by hand. It wouldn't be possible at all. You know, it would cogging such a way that at the slow revolution you would rip apart these chains inside the paternoster. Yeah, because it only turns so slow. So it's hardly possible to really drive this generator with a slow RPM if you really connected 5 kilowatts at the output. If it's not an over unity generator.
We've seen a lot of videos of generators, 5 kilowatt generators, run just by a simple belt. And if a belt can do it,
but then the RPM is much higher, you know.
yeah.
You just have to compare the RPMs. If the paternoster is doing really low RPM, and then you need a much higher torque. And then this gearbox would just rip apart and also change at a slow RPM.
So you're saying that their generator must have some special attributes in it as well in order to be able to be turned with such low torque, and that part of the magic of the system, so to speak, is going to be in the generator, not just in the buoyancy system.
That's right. And also you have to have a much bigger gearbox, because you would have this gear must be much more stronger than it seems to be.
Not if your generator has no back EMF and it's not hard to turn.
Yeah, okay. That's the only thing that's possible if this generator has no back drag. So it must be an over unity generator. Otherwise, it didn't work technically.
Gentlemen, it simply works. And we use physics. Nothing else. There is no magic in there. It's physics.
Well, the fact it's a permanent magnet generator, and if you go on the internet, with also the cogging models can be easily modified with little to nothing to make it low cogging. So maybe that's the case.
Yeah, I don't mean the cogging, but just the back drag. You know, if you Have you tried to put a load on a normal DC motor in a generator mode? Then
I'll be honest.
just try it. You can't almost turn the generator anymore, because if you drive a 100-watt power bulb, incandescent bulb, on a DC generator, you really have to put also these 100 watts of power mechanically into the axis, you know.
Let me
Otherwise
repeat
you can't
something
turn it.
something that Roberto said a few minutes ago that I think that I've not heard before is interesting. And I'm curious where this comes from, if this is an explanation he's getting from Rosch, that there's more than one system in play here. It's not just one force that is operating, that there are at least two forces. One could be the buoyancy system, the other could be, I'm calling magic, and that's a slang term for something that goes outside the box from typical mainstream science, that there's some system in the generator.
No, it's not the generator. Can I elaborate on that, Roberto?
Please go ahead, JD.
Okay. Mr. Doman explained today that falling weight is also in play, because in bigger systems, not in the smaller system, in the bigger systems, he is having in the downwards movement is also going through water, but the water is full of bubbles. And if you put 7% of air in water, it doesn't have any buoyancy effect anymore. So the falling weight is also in play. Gravity, if you will.
Wouldn't that be counteracted by the upward force? So you have the same down as up on both sides?
No, you have the down on one side and the up on the other side.
So the bubbles are not on the other side?
Correct.
Is there like a dividing line between them so the bubbles don't get to the other side?
Correct.
Oh.
Well, but these effects are pretty small, I guess. So
No,
if
it's
you
not.
have,
It's not, because if you put 7% air in water, the buoyancy effect will disappear.
yeah, but on the downside, you don't have any buoyancy at all. Why should you put there some bubbles? It doesn't make much sense.
It does, because then you have the falling weight as well.
So on the downside, you put the bubbles, and you don't put the bubbles on the upside. So on the
Correct.
Yeah, but
downside, you get the weight of the floats is coming down with gravity, and on
Correct.
the upside, they're going up with buoyancy.
Correct.
yeah,
That's the
but the floats are not weighting much, so that could be maybe 10% or something like this, but not a few kilowatts, I guess. So if you only have 200 watts of mechanical power from the float's buoyancy, you can't just get 4.6 kilowatts from this effect. What you just said, JD.
Just
So
repeating what I was told. Don't shoot the messenger.
You only have
Guys,
you only have 200 watts of buoyancy from the floats, you know, on the upgoing side, but you can't just have 4.6 kilowatts then from this bubbling effect. That's not possible physically. The floats are
gentlemen,
not very heavy, so it's plastic. So this
No, no,
weight
Roberto?
is not.
they're filled with water.
not
They're filled with water.
well, you mean that's inside? Oh, okay, maybe. Yeah, okay. If this water is
I
not
think we are
affected
getting
from the
closer
bubbles.
and closer and closer and closer, and one time we'll recognize it really possible.
Mhm.
By the way, you guys know what's also possible? I the last 20 kilometers and I'm in the middle of a jam. Jesus. So early in the morning, traffic jam. I don't believe that. It's unbelievable. Vienna is different, really.
It's always the last kilometers. Always.
Yeah,
Yes.
20 kilometers left and I'm in the middle of a traffic jam.
At what, 4 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, exactly. It's at 4:45. Yeah, and I have 2,241 kilometers on the clock since 23 hours. So Stefan, this is also my personal input on that day to make everybody believe.
All right, I have to rethink it with if the floats are on the upgoing on the downgoing side with water, and yeah, maybe the water weight then will push it down a bit more. Okay.
For me, the biggest thing is, does it work? The second is, how does it work? And that takes a low second. I'm a scientist. I love science. I love figuring out how things work, but that's not as important as does it work?
Okay.
And it seems to me that the question of does it work has been answered.
Clearly.
Yeah, it seems so, but you know, if you go to a show at Copperfield, or how is it called, this
David
magician?
Magic Show?
Yeah, David Copperfield. You can also see him fly, and to Chris Angel. Okay, at Chris Angels we know that that's all staged, and at Copperfield also. But,
go on YouTube and find the explanation for that. That's easy.
yeah. So, well, we'll see what comes out of it. By the way, Roberto, when do all the pre-order guys have to pay now the final money? Is that already is there already a
what I'm
fixed
seeing?
date to that?
I'm seeing two totally crashed cars. Jesus. Oh, I hope these people survived. So again, you told. Sorry, question was.
When has the final money be have to pay it for these pre-ordered models by the pre-order guys? Also wann müssen sie
yeah, I do understand. The next payment will be in front of the workshops. So when the people can hold the components in their hands, they have to be paid.
So then they can decide if they will pay or if they will not pay, or if they.
No, the decision is done. We had this public viewing also to review for everybody who pre-ordered. Will I take the order or do I not take the order anymore? Because something, very early in the project we could not define everything exactly. So we opened that gap, that 10-day gap. Once you see it, you can decide: is it okay for me? Can I handle that? To my personal room or my position where I want to emplace that. Does everything sweet together? So we opened the cancellation time frame until the end of the public viewings, and nearly all of the pre-ordering people went to speak and take a close look at the system, and only a very few, and can count them on one hand, said, well, because of this and that, I am not able to take the order anymore. Everybody else is happy.
So everybody almost has paid now the full price?
No, I didn't say that. I said everybody's happy with the order.
Okay, and when will they still have to pay now? At which last date?
I said 2 minutes before we start the workshop and they have the components in their hands, everything has to be paid.
Okay, I see. And this will be back.
Do you order one as well?
No, not yet. Maybe in the second batch.
Maybe you can run a fundraising through one of the forums. There are a lot of people in, aren't there?
Yeah, we will see. Why? Well, I had another question. I forgot it.
I can feel the vibe.
Yeah. What is Roberto? What is now happening with the first Auftriebskraftwerk KPP? So are you shipping? Are you shipping that to Gaia now in Austria, or where does it go now?
It's going to Berlin.
JD?
It's going to Berlin.
No, it won't. Definitely not. The final word is not spoken about that topic, but the very next step is to rise the second.
To arrive where?
To rise the second, because we have to do all the manual stuff.
Or write the manuals.
Exactly. So we'll.
But you first said that all. But you first said that all the Austrian Gaia members could take a look at it directly in Austria. So what about this then?
When did I say something? I mean, there are two possibilities. First of all, we have some pre-order takers or some order takers who will officially show that KPP at their gas garden or something. For example, we have a hotel in the Salzburg area who love to invite people for coffee or something to show what they have, what they own, what they use. So this is a possibility everybody can use afterwards. Currently, we have no open and public viewing anymore because
I've got an idea.
Today.
I've got an idea for you. Take the 5 kilowatt system that you just disassembled and mount it on a mountain somewhere far away from any electrical power lines, and run a spotlight for that's a 5 kilowatt spotlight continuously.
Well, the idea behind it is good, but I have a better one. I would love to give it to a technical museum and just keep it running.
I heard Mr. Domo say today, I will confiscate it for my museum.
Exactly. This is probably what will be really happening. It will be the first piece of the Rosch Museum. Exactly.
Yeah, I still have a problem that Gaia did not get their own KPP and build it up in their own facility in Austria and just put their own people there and have some really good measurements and all these pre-order and pre-sales and money thing was, I guess, not a good idea. So that's why also skepticism came up also. So they might just have done it the wrong way.
Okay,
they should just
Stefan.
have built up their own first.
Stefan, there's a lot to say about the pre-order model. The pre-order model for itself kind of sucks. I totally agree with that. I've been burnt in the past with that as well.
That's
with
right.
a completely different product. But for companies like Gaia and now maybe Roche seems to have finance in the back, but for Gaia it's the only way to go. How would you do it otherwise?
No, they just could have paid one model and then just build it up in Austria and then just test it out and let all people test it.
We lost somebody, I guess.
Did we lose?
Everybody still there?
Let's
I'm
see.
still here.
Oh yeah, we
Roberto's
lost Roberto.
I heard a disconnection sound.
Yeah, that was Roberto. Yeah. He's offline. Let me try and reconnect.
Was he in his car or?
Yeah, he's driving home.
Ah, okay.
He didn't join those two smashed up cars.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, Stefan. I'm the first one to admit if there's something fishy, and if it turns out to be a scam, okay. I will be the first in line to admit I was wrong. But this time I'm really convinced.
Yeah, but you can just avoid a scam if they just would have done it completely different. Just just get their first own model and from Roche and then test it out at their Gaia facility, you know.
But don't
And
they have their own model? The small one? The small one belongs to them.
the small one is also a Roche facility, what you have seen today.
Okay.
They don't have their own.
Yeah, it's not robust enough to continuously run.
Probably. There, one other friend told me, which also was at the Roche facility, that they just only have some rubber seals going wrong with a small model, and they just didn't want to pull out the paternoster again. But you know, there's still a big battery inside this box there, and lithium-ion battery, and it never ran more than 2 hours. So why didn't they just run it now, the small model, all day when they had the visitors? Just repairing some cheap rubber seals would not be very expensive, a few cents for these rubber seals. So, and they never pulled out the whole battery from this unit, you know. They always said they only disconnected the battery, but it was also some special cable they made there, and they may have some hidden relays there, so I don't trust this.
So you say, okay, I'm convinced, but you mean to say, no, I'm not convinced.
I'm not convinced with a small model because there were batteries inside there, and which they never pulled out. So the big one now, it's Have you touched the cables on the floor today and rearranged them and see? And did you see, JD, if they were somehow connected to the floor? Because there were there were two these two white boxes somewhere there. I don't know, maybe there was some kind of floor connection.
No, check the footage. They must have been moved today. They must have been.
Mm-hmm. So
did I pick up all the wires? Did I pick up all the stuff? No.
Did they what? Pick up all the stuff?
Did I pick up all the wires myself? No.
Okay.
They will probably hate me for this as well. I've been in the other hall today, and I was invited to climb up the white cube and whatever to take every pictures I wanted to, and I just didn't. You probably hate me for that.
That's right. But you also didn't take a picture of the water hose inside the paternoster. You couldn't see. Did that water hose go really down to the bottom of the paternoster?
Yes, you can see that in the footage. By the way, it's a fixed mount.
Okay. And the black hose from the compressor that went down there to these connection point, where these floats are loaded at the bottom, yeah.
I'm not sure what you mean. What?
This is this line from the compressor. There was a black hose going somewhere to the
Probably a black wire. There was a camera at the bottom of the tube that never worked.
Yeah, the other webcam. No, I mean the other. There was a black hose going down the compressed air. The hose for the compressed air. That must have gone down to the bottom of the paternoster where there's these.
If you can see it on a picture or some video footage somewhere, send me a note and maybe I can comment on that.
Have you already uploaded your video footage?
No, not yet. We've been talking all the time.
Because it's not visible on the photos you uploaded. But okay, I will wait till we see your video. Then I can check on this and then we can test it again. So Sterling, are you recording this again?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So
we're 2 hours into the call. 2 hours and 3 minutes.
Who's gonna listen to this, Sterling?
The diehards.
So you already were in a call when you called me for an hour or something like this. So
Yeah, we're 2 hours into the call. Roberto called me. He
okay.
was driving home, and we've
Okay.
been chatting.
All right. Maybe if you could upload the sun again, then yeah, I guess we should finish now up because. Or do you want to call again Roberto in his car?
Yeah, I'll try Roberto again. I hope he's not in trouble.
Hmm. Maybe he just
Okay,
is
now it's
connecting.
showing that he's it's got the yellow sign on his rather than the blank, so
Uh-huh.
he might be able to pick up now. We're helping him stay awake.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. I
You
bet his
guys,
drive is bet. Sorry, I bet his drive will be much easier when talking.
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, it
Yep.
doesn't look like he's picking up. Well, gentlemen, it's been a fun conversation. Thanks for being in on it,
All right.
and I can get this uploading right now. It's going to be a fairly big file, but it shouldn't take more than about 20 minutes to upload.
2 hours. It's probably 70 megabytes or something.
Yeah, it shouldn't take long at all to upload. I've got a 15 or 5 megabit per second upload.
How
All right.
fast?
5 megabit?
Okay, that's not too
Okay.
fast. But anyway.
No.
All right.
All right,
Okay.
gentlemen.
Can I make a YouTube video out of it again?
Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem.
All right. Great. Thanks.
From what?
All
From the
right,
pictures?
Sterling.
All right. Take care.
Then
Okay.
take care and have a nice evening. Okay.
You
Bye bye
too.
now.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Ciao.